everybody, this is the Wikström. So the year 2000, it was a really good movie year. Gladiator, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Memento, lots of great movies. But one movie I was looking forward more than anything else. It was Gone in 60 Seconds. The year 2000 was probably my peak in my endorsement of car chase movies. I just loved the hell out of car chases and big explosions. And you know, the late 90s had so many fun and slickly produced and, you know, absolutely spectacular 80s action movies dressed up like a 90s movie. The Rock, Face Off, Con Air. They were all some of my absolute favorite movies, and many of them was actually, you know, produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. And when you sat there in the cinema and saw that Jerry Bruckheimer logo going on, you knew that when that lightning struck that tree, you knew you were in for a big, big ride. So, the combination of Jerry Bruckheimer, the year 2000, and my interest of car chase movies, and, you know, this movie being all about the car chases, I thought this movie is gonna fucking rock. And the trailer, it just made the movie look even more awesome. And then I sat down on opening night, and when the Bruckheimer logo started, and you know, you heard the vroom vrooms in the back, and you know, the lightning strike and all that stuff, and it was just so adrenaline pumping. It was so, you know, adrenaline filled. And then green setting up and green settle down and green setting up, na, 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 with Moby came up. And actually, on opening night when I saw this movie, people started to applaud again. La 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 la. They were, you know, chanting along with this one, and I thought, this movie is going to be the greatest movie of the entire decade. That was what I actually thought when I saw this movie. I rewatched this movie, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, with the sole purpose of trying to figure out if my recollection of this movie was accurate. Spoiler alert, it is. Because everything that happened after the opening credits in this movie was not as good as that one. The best thing in this entire movie is everything that happens in the opening credits. That's it. That's not a very good sign. But let's find out why this movie was kind of a botched thing, and maybe I was just, you know, expecting a different movie. This is Gone in 60 Seconds. Brains has just stolen a Porsche and is driving through Long Beach, and is going to try to, you know, get rid of this stolen car at a, you know, warehouse and stuff like that. Unfortunately for us, Kip Brains is played by Giovanni Ribisi, which of course means that he lives on Screw Up Lane in Fuck Upville. So he busts the whole thing up open, and his boss Raymond Calitri is a little bit pissed at him. And word of this gets to his brother, played by Nicolas Cage, who, you know, was once a legendary car thief, but has now quit the business and, you know, tries to live an honest life. And he now wants to try to make things straight with Calitri. Unfortunately, Calitri says no dice and forces Cage to try to steal 50 cars within 3 days, together with his younger brother and a bunch of random people that is kind of, you know, was once great car thieves and stuff like that, and including Vinnie Jones and Robert Duvall and his ex-girlfriend played by Angelina Jolie, and, you know, stuff like that. At the same time this is happening, we also have Delroy Lindo and Timothy Oliphant, who are two police officers who at one point was very close at, you know, busting Rains, and now suspects that he has come back to steal some cars. So they're gonna be, you know, watching him very closely. So is he going to be able to save his brother? Are they gonna be able to steal all of those 50 cars in 3 days? And most importantly, will he be able to conquer Eleanor? Eleanor is, by the way, the incredibly gorgeous 1967 Shelby Mustang, which is sort of the crown jewel in the cars that is going to be stolen. So this movie, right from the start, you're reckoning, is not going to have actually any real car chases in it. The thing is that the start of this movie is basically a lot of rather unfunny skits when they're doing this kind of you know, surveillance bits, and people are bantering and with each other, and, people are dysfunctional and stuff like that, and it is not very interesting. It is sort of entertaining because they're having these high octane songs and stuff like that, and it is, you could say that it is empty calories of entertainment. It is superficially entertaining, but at the same time it is also kind of not. So the other problem this movie has is the damn villains, because Raymond Calitri actually kind of had an interesting character going on. I've never seen this guy before, at least I think so. The thing is, he could have been a creepy and a really effective villain. With his dry British accent, his obsession with furniture and wood, and the fact that he hates baseball. I've tried to understand your culture, but this baseball is so bleeding boring, or whatever he said. The thing is, he could have been a great villain. But apart from the, introduction to him where he talks to Memphis Reigns and, the ending of this movie, we barely see him at all. So we barely have any screen time with our main villain, Audible Sigh. But they try to fix this by having, this secondary villain come in, Johnny B, who thinks that he should be the one that is gonna boost these cars, and they have, some not very interesting chases with Memphis Reigns. Not car chases, it's foot chases. Oh goody. And then the whole thing with Johnny B is basically, resolved after third of the movie, half of the movie. Thanks for coming, Johnny. Now fuck off. So at this point, I was beginning to get a little restless. Are we not going to have any car chases? Are we just going to have these barely stitched together skits and sketches that aren't very funny? And here's also another problem with this movie. Is this supposed to be an action movie that doesn't have any action? Or is it a funny heist movie with bad comedy? It kind of tries to do both. And dude, this movie was just not very interesting for the most part. But then we come to the Eleanor thing, and we have, 25 minutes left of this movie, and I thought they have been saving up the budget. They have saved up all their awesome stuff for this moment. This is gonna save this movie, and it is gonna, carry it on its shoulder through the pearly gates of the cinematic masterpieces. And then the chase began. And it was fine. It wasn't very spectacular. It did have a couple of sequences that was rather okay. The thing is, it isn't very good edited. It isn't very good shot, and it doesn't look spectacular. It could have been good, but it isn't. And that ridiculous jump they do on the bridge, I try sometimes to meet the filmmakers halfway, but I couldn't do it in this thing. It just looked too ridiculous and it looked phony. It is kind of the same thing that happened in Cliffhanger. When they, released a trailer for Cliffhanger, we had this sequence where Sylvester Stallone jumps what looks like 100 feet or something like that from one cliff to another. It was so ridiculous that people started laughing in the cinema when they showed the trailers. So they decided to cut that entire sequence from the movie. They probably should have done a similar thing with this one, because that jump looks fucking awful. And then the movie is just over. This is a movie that on the surface looks like there's a lot of things happening, but it is really not. It is just a bunch of not that interesting characters doing unfunny comedy, and we have setups for great action pieces that doesn't really show up. This movie is fast-paced, it has some pretty good actors, they have a couple of sequences that were arguably a little bit funny and entertaining, but I would much rather watch the original from the 80s. If you've never heard about it, Gone in 60 Seconds is a movie that has approximately exactly the same synopsis as this one, only they have a 45-minute long car chase where they demolish lots and lots of cars. I loved it. It was dumb, but it was very, very amusing, and it was very, very entertaining. Much better than this movie, even though, this movie has a higher budget and it has better actors. And even that movie did have some, minor problems with it, because they also have, these stakeout things and, awkward things, and they also have these sequences that was serious and could have been taken seriously, but they are always interrupted by more bad comedy, and I was thinking, Jesus Christ, can you take this serious? Oof. So, should you watch Gone in 60 Seconds? Yes, I would say so, because the movie isn't bad. The movie is just not as good as I thought it would be. If you went in thinking that you were going to see the greatest car chases of your entire life in this one, and you ended up watching a couple of, minorly okay car chases, I would, imagine that you would be a little bit, annoyed by the whole thing. But if you're going in seeing this as a kind of a heist movie with, colorful characters and a good soundtrack and some really slick production, I think you could do worse, but it is a bit underwhelming. This movie gets exactly the same rating as it did 22 years ago. This movie gets 50 points. It is a movie that wants to do a lot but can't. If you're watching this movie hoping that you're going to see some, great freak out Cage moments, you're not gonna get it. This is a more mellow, a little bit more toned down version of Nicolas Cage. But the movie has bits to it that I like, and it was, superficially entertaining at least. So I'll see you next time from, well, so-and-so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much. 3 turn it up, and 3 settle down, and 3